guys, welcome back. In this video we have two exercises related to the mind squares. We begin with puzzle number 1. Very difficult position. White has one pawn on line 7, but his pawn it's blocked by the black king and the black rook. Black is the one to move. How would black manage to get the draw in this position? You might think that black can try to block the white pawns on the king side by moving a 4, and if, let's say, white will move the king, then we capture the pawn, white captures as well, then we capture back, and when the white king is trying to advance in the center in order to take the opposition, we will have to move our king to e7. It is a mistake if we push our king to e6 or d6, because white will take opposition and therefore we lose the game. And if we move to d6 again, he takes opposition by d4. The only option for us will be to move king to e7, and if white tries to force the center, we are capable of taking opposition and therefore get a draw. But going back to the calculation, there is a tiny detail we need to consider. If we push f4, white can simply give up the file d for c file with a check. Then let's say we take the pawn. White will not check and exchange the rooks. White will take line 5. And the only way we can protect g pawn is with a rook. And you don't wanna keep the defensive rook against the active rook, passive against active rook in an endgame, because that will slowly build up and lead to defeat. So that's why black wants to avoid this position. So what is he going to play then? Let's go back to the original setup. If we cannot play f4 and block those pawns, how can we approach this endgame? Now let's calculate the exchange. So let's say black will just go straight into exchange. That will give white the chance to break the pawn chain by f4. It will be a mistake to capture. So black will push. Now white doesn't want to take, because then what we're gonna have, it will be it will lead to a position with 2 free protected pawns once white will push, and that won't benefit white more than black, because black is closer to transforming square. So once black is pushing to g4, white will push g3, and now black takes on h3, white takes on h4, and we advance the king. White goes towards capturing our pawn. Then we move to g6. Now white can obviously take the pawn, but that will only lead to a draw after king g6. That's why white best move is to push h5. Now how do we approach this? Because we need to be very careful. We need, after g7, once white is capturing h3, we need to take the corresponding square or opposition square, which will be h7. It will be no good for us to attack the white pawn, because these two we can classify as mind squares. If we step first on the mind square, then white will push us away, and then we'll capture f5 pawn, and then we lose the game. So on the other side, if white is stepping first, he will lose the pawn. He won't lose the game, but he will lose the pawn and the chance to win. So we take a position, and If black goes to g3, we again keep the position, and then we repeat the moves until we get a draw. There is another option. If white will try to flank us, then we will end up in a position with the mine squares we studied. It will be more exactly, the mine squares will become those two, and then again you must not be the first one who steps on the mine square. The second puzzle, time of board winning 1967, black to win. After g4 from black, white finds a position where he has to capture. He's taking, black takes. Now white king is heading towards the g4 black pawn. Black is pushing. It won't help white to capture, because then white will have an extra pawn. Sorry, black will have an extra pawn. So white is pushing on h5. Black goes to g7. White is attacking the pawns, and now we have these two mine squares. So we remember we don't want to be the first to step on the mine square. Therefore, the only square that will allow our black king to keep in touch with the mine square will be, sorry, this one's, yeah, h6 and g4 will be h7. White takes into h6, and now obviously Botvinnik calculated the tempos of the pawns before taking those mine squares, because wrong tempo now could have changed the position and could force black to make a move, then he will lose the pawn. So white is playing e4. As you could have noticed, there were 3 squares between both pawns files, so it's like a perfect symmetry. Black plays, white is pushing 2. Won't make any difference, he's pushing 1, because again black will have a response, and now black passes the move to white. So after this symmetrical moves, the position ends with the 2 kings on the mine squares, but because white has to move now, it was white first to step on the mine square. And you might think that, oh, white is going to capture the e5 pawn and you'll have a counter game. But let's analyze. Once we take, white takes, then we push the pawn. And you see our pawn is already 3 squares away from conversion. White king has to try to stop the black pawn. And we protect the g3 square. White is pushing, and now we close. We one move away from converting into queen. But what makes the difference and brings the victory to black is the parallel lines of the kings. And once black will convert the queen, he can check, and then he will have a skewer and take the white queen. It will be no gain for white if he's trying to keep up with the pawn, because all he does is just help the black pawn get closer to the g1 square. So white will push, black pushes, white, and g1 queen, then e8 queen, and as you said, check. White has only 2 squares available, doesn't matter which of them, and then black is winning the endgame.